Hey guys, welcome back to another visiting Moth. So let's get to this next part, but might as well be a very short one, doesn't it? Yeah. Alright, let's go. I'm wearing a mask right now, but you could still hear me speaking this. Alright, here we go. An individual pizza is just a small square cut into four small squares. The also is just cheese and pepperoni. It tastes like it wasn't cooked all the way, and there's way too much cheese on it. Not to mention they cost $12 each. You can get the same pizza three times the size at the same pizza place for $5. But not to mention beer is overpriced, weak, and tastes like wee wee. But he's starving no and it's the best pizza and beer combo he's ever had. Though it could also have something to do with the fact that Lance is sitting cross-legged on the ground next to him, and is pressed up against the guy's side as they eat. Yeah, that might have something to do with it. Lance's body jerks slightly as he snorts, nose crooked and lips quirking. Keith watching out of the corner of his eye, but then he's holding his phone up for Keith to see, and he looks down. There's a cat mirrored there, and he let up a short laugh. Lance glances sideways at him, smile still in place, and a look in his eyes that's far too far before turning back to his phone to continue scrolling. It must have been sad between them, but it's comfortable. There's a longer break between Avenge and Metallica, but Keith doesn't mind. Gives him more time to simply hang out with Lance like this. They claim a small space on the floor to themselves, off to the side in the shade of the setting sun. Despite the people who shift and crowd around them, Keith can't help but feel like they're entirely alone. Their own little bubble of peace. He finishes his pizza and wipes his hands on his shorts before pushing the box away, curling the plastic cup in his hands. He pulls his knees up and leans further into Lance's side, letting his hand drop onto the other shoulder. Lance doesn't mind too much, just slightly shifts more into him, nudges the leg closer so Keith can lean his legs over it, tilts his head down and rests on top of Keith's. A nasty little swarm of butterflies flutter around Keith's gut, climbing up his chest and threatening to choke him. Lance finished his pizza a while ago, which Keith bought for him, their per date agreement. He really hopes that means this is a date. A date he wanted to begin, but would chicken out at the last moment. Lance holds his half-empty beer on one knee, the other lazily scrolling whatever app he's on. He watches for a while, but there's only so many cat memes so he can take before boredom takes over. He finds the eyes drawn downward, tracing the curves of the wade's tattoo on the arm he's leaning against. He's always wished he could trace those lines, feel the way they curve and float around his forearm. And then it occurs to him that maybe now he can. He shifts his spear into one hand, lifting his other hand to Lance's arm, and does exactly what he'd been wanting to do. Lance's skin is so smooth, warm, and inviting. The blues and whites blend into his arm, stand out just enough to look beautiful, but fading enough to look aged and natural against his brown skin. He traces up and down his forearm, following the rolls and tides, finding all the small, subtle outlines of various water creatures that Allura has hid in there. He moves his arm, tracing around the moon just above the crook of his elbow, to the scales along his bicep. He is lost in the color of it, in the feel of his arm, in the warmth of him against his side. It takes him a while for him to notice that Lance has stopped scrolling. When he does, he ducks his head a little more, letting his bangs fall over his face, feeling the heat rise to his cheeks. Lance doesn't seem to mind. In fact, he turns his arm a little, letting Keith trace all angles and sides of his tattoo sleeve, right down to the word familia tattooed in elegant strip of his inner wrist. They sit like that for long enough that Lance's phone screen goes dark. When it lights back up again, it draws both their attention. It's a Snapchat pitch. Lance opens it up and Keith perches his chin on his shoulder to watch. When the picture opens up, it takes him a moment to figure out what they're looking at. It's the stadium floor from somewhere high above, zoomed in a little, but mostly all the people were indistinguishable. There's a red circle and two tiny dots sitting close together, as well as the caption, "Stop being cuddly and gay. You're in public. Have some shame. He snorts and Lance turns his head just slightly to send him a little grin. Then he's opened up the camera to respond, switching into the front camera and holding it up so they're both on the screen. He is immediately assaulted with the image of two of them sitting close. Him leaning so far into Lance, he might as well be on his lap, chin perched on his shoulder. It's it's really cute, but it's also really gay. Lance has a mind. He opens up the filter and flicks through, settling on one of the flower crowns. He says Keith's scowl on the screen before he turns that grin on him. Keith reluctantly leans away a fraction to give him room to sign. What? Do you want to be a princess? He rolls his eyes and settles his chin back on Lance's shoulder, looking back to the phone. With his free hand, Lance lifts off the camera, using the finger to pull down an eyelid as he sticks a tongue out. It reveals his tongue piercing, a little blue bead. And Keith, he really wants to know what that feels like. In his mouth, on his neck, his collarbones, his chest, his stomach, his hip bones, his he lifts his hand to flip off the camera as well, and sticks out his tongue with a curl of his lip. Lance adjusts to the phone to get the best angle, but before he takes the picture, an idea drips into his mind, taking root. He's not sure what possessed him to do it. Maybe he has made him delirious. Maybe it's the cheap beer. Maybe it's the fact that Lance has been opposed to his advances, yes, so far. Maybe it's the word date that's been thrown around casually and jokingly, but with an underlying understanding that they're both serious. Right before Lance takes the picture, he lifts his head, still flipping off the camera. He presses his lips to the paw print tattoo on the other side of Lance's neck. When it pulls away, Lance is looking at him, but his head is bowed, lips pursed but with a smile threatening to break through, and an adorable blush darkening beneath his freckles. Heat smirks, looking down to his phone. The picture came out. Really great, actually. Kudos to Lance for holding poise for long enough to take it. As he watches, Lance adds a catching. Can't take the heat? They get TF out of the sun. He props his chin back on Lance's shoulder, humming soft before saying, send that to me. Lance tilts his head to look at him, eyebrows raising question. Silver vision glinting in the sun. He looks back down, hiding his face, shrugs. It's cute. I want to keep it. Lance offers him his phone, and Keith takes it, typing the Snapchat name and adding himself on Lance's phone before sending pictures himself and Paige. He's about to hand the phone back when an idea hits him. He closes Snapchat and opens up Lance's contacts before adding himself in there, too. He hands the phone back with his new contact information open. Lance is still several moments. He refuses to look up at him, but he's certain that if he does, he finds him smiling. That thought alone is enough to have Keith smiling his own small smile, keeping it secret with a shield of hair as he goes back to tracing Lance's tattoos. Oh, that does it. That was that part. So in between Avenged Sevenfold and Metallica, they're into on the breaks, probably a pizza and a beer. But you know those foods are really awful, and the beers are overpriced. It's almost like you know something you can't get out of, and you gotta go. But they somehow saw a photo in their Snapchat, which they actually don't even use it. They saw the photo, and Paige was responding, "Hey guys, enough with the gay. Have some room or anything." And then they have an idea to get them back. All that things. Is have a Snapchat and just screw you. If you don't like this photo, if you don't like this all this gayness, get out of the sun, please. And then he goes back and they exchange their phone numbers and Snapchats and all the fun stuff there. Okay, that's pretty much it for this part. See you in the next part. So long.